What's up, nerds? Welcome back to the channel. It is gosh dang cold outside. What are we fishing with right now? We're talking winter baits. Now, depending where you live, at the time that you're watching this, your water temps are probably plummeting to the ground. It's getting cold, right? Water temps are dropping. If you're down south, you're probably pushing towards the 60s. Maybe you're below the 60s at this point. I know up north, a week ago in Michigan, Southern Michigan, mind you, we were at 48 degrees in some of our bodies of water. So the fishing is getting tough. There's no ice yet though. So we got water, it's just colder. What do we fish with? I want to talk to you guys about our top 5 plus a bonus 6 lures that you could be fishing with right now during this season in these cold water temps that you can still produce with. And keep in mind that you've got a shot at some real big fish if you're patient enough and you're throwing the right stuff in the right spots. Let's get to it. Oh, and by the way, if you guys like content like this, we drop this stuff all the time, me and my buddy Paul, so be sure to subscribe, maybe consider smashing a like on this video. Thanks. This is my day box. This is typically the stuff that I'm throwing throughout the day, on any given day, on any given body of water, right where I live here in Michigan. And this is also stuff that's gonna work around the country. So these are all things that you guys should be able to do. Main difference is the further south you go, probably the better shot you got at getting consistent bites, as well as maybe numerous bites. And you could probably fish a lot of this stuff a little more aggressively, a little faster. Up north, where I'm at, in Michigan, you're gonna need to slow down. Sometimes you're gonna need to downsize, sometimes. We got some big stuff we'll talk about today too. And you gotta be a little more patient, right? So just keep that in mind. So let's go through our top 5s. Starting with some cold water classics. If you're able to fish a little more aggressively, I highly recommend you guys be throwing some tail spins in a couple different variants. So first up, we got the Fish Lab Bio Tail Spin. This comes with a big old willow blade off the back, and it comes in a bunch of different color patterns. Here we got a dark natural option. This is pushing an ounce, so it is gosh dang heavy. It is a metal bodied bait, so it's kind of like a cross between your spinner bait and a blade bait. So we can huck this thing out absolutely a mile because it weighs a lot. We're gonna retrieve that at a higher speed, so you're gonna need a high speed reel. And you're gonna burn that thing right back to the boat, the kayak, the bank, wherever you're fishing at. It's a great option. Here's another one. This is the Molix Trago. Look at the size of this Colorado blade compared to the size of the body of this fish. This is coming in at a 1/2 ounce. A little smaller presentation, a little lighter, something that I can slow down, especially with that Colorado blade. And again, you got your notable single treble coming off of this. So slightly more finesse-y option for a tail spin. Now, these are great to be fishing over what's left of the cover that you have in your water. As we move into the winter months, a lot of your foliage is dying, so we're losing our grass. As it's dying, as it's going away, sometimes you get fish clinging to that, still looking around for forage, still chasing some bait fish in the waters that you guys are fishing. So you would cast this thing out there, good long retrieve. They're gonna see this, they'll key on the flash, the sound, the vibration, whatever it is, they're gonna come after it. That's why you want to make those long casts, give them enough time to key in, chase that thing down, and attack. It's also good to have a couple different colors for this. So you saw there, we had the dark natural, we had the bright natural, and then we have a gold flashy option, but you can also get your standard body patterns. We got sexy shad there, right? I've also got, depending on water clarity too, some bright flashy silver. We got a glow pattern, kind of a pearl white glow. So yeah, all sorts of different options, different blade styles that you can be throwing too. So we got a hammered Colorado blade here, for example. And you saw that I had the willow blade and the Colorado blade. Oh, and this one, by the way, this is from Savage Gear. So if you're looking for a cheap option to get into these things, Savage Gear is a great option for that. So tail spins are great because it gives us a good profile for the winter months, for that colder weather, and it's something that we can still fish moving and still have a pretty good success rate with. So if you like catching on the move and bite, so if the move and bite is working, go for the tail spin. You'll find out if it's not when you fish the tail spin 100 different casts and you're not catching fish, move on to something else. One of those other things you could throw would be a blade bait. And a blade bait is just a metal bait. It looks something like one of these two and a million other brands that make them. This style of bait can be fished similar to how you would a lipless bait. So we got a couple different rigging options, for example, on this one here. This is the Guppy from Fish Lab. And we can move this snap clip here from this point to this point, and that's just gonna give you a different center point on your weight. So if I move this, I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so in this case now it's gonna be tipped upwards. So we can present this bait in a couple different ways, which is nice. I mean, you got a lot of variety in one lure right there. So as I said, you can fish it similar to a lipless bait in that we can yo-yo this thing. So I'm gonna let it fall all the way down. These are also, by the way, called ripping baits. So I can let it hit the bottom or fall into some cover, and then I'm actually going to rip it out of that cover with a quick rod tip movement. And that is gonna draw some attention, especially if you have some lethargic bass or bass that are just stuck to the bottom. We can set this right in front of their face, rip it up, and hopefully draw them out for a strike, which is really awesome, a lot of fun. So yo-yo this thing, let it fall into some cover, get buried, rip it on out, and then you can also straight retrieve them. So it's gonna give you a nice vibrating action as you retrieve it, as you bring it back on a straight retrieve. So fantastic, come in a bunch of different colors as well. It's a metal body bait. So we have the dark green, we got this like gold with a little flash of pink on there. They also come in different sizes. So I got some baby guppies here. Look at these little guys, right? These are just the two main colors from the Fish Lab series that I like to throw personally. And then you get some crazy options. This is a mega bass right here. Yes, they make these as well as many other brands out there. So just see what's available, see what you like, see what's in your budget. This one is called the Dyna Response. It's 3/8 of an ounce. So look at that. Flat body, as you can see, usually the weight's in the belly here or in the head. And this one, while not having other rigging positions, has a little different setup. As you can see, most of the weight's in the head. Sort of like a Demiki rig almost, and it has a similar shaped head to a Demiki rig. So that one's gonna fall more like this, straight down. The other cool thing about this one is that you get that flashy tail. You're not seeing that on a lot of these other ones. So something a little bit different. And sometimes that's what it takes to stand out and get bit in that cold water. All right, next up, bait number 3 that we'd recommend is an obvious one. It's the jerkbait. The jerkbait is great. You could go with a soft jerkbait as well. You can go ahead and grab like your Yamamoto D-shads, or you can just go with your Zoom Super Salty Fluke. Any of those options, whatever your favorite fluke is, you can do that as well. I do want to throw that out there. It's kind of a bonus rig that you could throw. Flukes are great this time of year as well as in the spring because we can cast them out there, and with those, we're just gonna let it fall. Might give it a little twitch or a little pop as it falls, and it's such a slow fall rate, depending on which product you're going with. D-shad might fall a little bit faster. Super Salty Fluke will fall pretty good. Or maybe you have a Z-Man fluke and it's barely falling at all. So depending on how you want to fish it, a lot of different options that you can go on with that. So of course, soft jerkbaits are also a great option. My preference is to throw the guy with the treble hooks. So we got 9 different hook points on this bad boy, for example, making it really easy for me to catch some fish. So the hard body jerkbait is typically my go-to. That's why it's number 3 on the list here. Also with this, you're gonna wanna have a couple different color patterns and a couple different depths that you can fish this. You got the short lip like this. Typically, these are in that 4 to 6 foot diving range. They come in floating, sinking, slow sinking, suspending, all sorts of different options. In the winter, I prefer at least suspending, if not slow sinking. I want to try to put this in front of the fish, and I want to leave it there for as long as humanly possible. Because as the water temp gets colder, it gets harder for these fish to decide to strike. So they're gonna be more hesitant, they're gonna be more lethargic, they're gonna be more finicky. So we gotta give them the time to strike. On these, super simple, I'm gonna bomb this thing out there, twitch or twitch, just find like a cadence that works for you, but I'm just using the rod tip action on a slack line to give this thing a good hard twitch, and that is gonna make this bait do this kind of stuff in the water, right? We're looking for that reaction strike, so we're also gonna have typically a good loud sound to it, some good movement to it, maybe a flash, depending on the type of design that we have. We have a Rapala X-Wrap here, so I got that tied rear treble with some flash. And there's a little bit of silver in the body you can see. So I can give off a flash there as well. And again, a good hard sound to it. With that suspending design, I'm twitching it and then I'm just letting it sit for as long as possible. This, by the way, is a Lucky Craft, another great option. And then we have a Berkeley Stunna here. Another one that I'm pretty darn fond of. These are great, great action. A little bit more expensive. You're getting into the $14, $15 range here. X-Wrap, slightly less than that, usually around 10 bucks, and you can usually get them on sale. And then you could go with something like this. We got the Yozuri This is a 110 deep, maybe a more economic, affordable option. You got the Strike King KVDs, the basic Strike King jerkbaits. I mean, there's a million options out there, you guys, so you can find one that works for you. And then this would be that deeper diving option, putting me down in the maybe 8 to 10 foot range. In general, if you have a way of finding those fish, so you got sonar, or you know somebody who knows somebody, you can figure out where these fish are suspending. If they're hugging the bottom, it's whatever your water depth is. If they're suspending off the bottom, we want to get an idea of where to put these lures. If I'm going shallow, I'm grabbing that shallow lip jerkbait. I'm usually twitching that above the dying foliage, up against the bank, around rock, around docks. As these docks get pulled out up north, they get pulled out this time of year. So you're gonna fish whatever remaining area there is around that. Or if I'm near like a drop off or I'm fishing deeper, I'm grabbing that deep lip. And this will give you options. With one jerkbait box, I can fish a whole bunch of different cover. So it's a very versatile bait. And it's got a lot of hooks on it, so I've got a pretty good chance of hooking into some fish. Number 4, go for your big baits. This is your chance. This is your one shot, one opportunity. Mom spaghetti. Start throwing some glide baits, throw some swim baits out there. Look at those bad boys. As soon as your water temps start getting below 60 degrees, your glide baits have a really, really good shot. But really all your swim baits do. The only difference is the colder it gets, probably the slower you're gonna have to fish them. But those fish will still key in on those really big baits. So we got some great options here that I like to throw around. This is the time of year that I'm really breaking out all the glide baits. So I've got my I Surrender bag here. It's a big old roll-up bag that is full of baits like that. So you break all these bad boys out. There you go. I love to throw all these around and have a ton of fun with it. If you're fishing up north like me, this is also a time of year you're catching pike on these. They go nuts over these big baits. And that's just a lot of fun. But some of the key baits that I'm throwing around are like the River to Sea S Wavers. This is the downsized version, so you get the small guy. I had the big version in the roll-up bag there. One of my favorite economic options, the Cha-Cha Glide from Thunderhawk. This is a Jerry Rago collaboration. Really, really nice baits. They basically glide for you. If you're a beginner to glide baits, you don't want to spend 50 bucks on your first glide, go grab one of these. They're usually on sale, and they do all the work for you, and that, including catching the fish. So they're pretty awesome. This is also the time of year that I'm fishing my soft swim baits closer to the bottom. So you got your Megabass Mag Draft, you even go for the big old 8-inch model, or you got the little 6-inch guy here in Perch, just a color that I like to be throwing around where I live. Or you go with something like the Baca Burrito or the Nacho, if you want to go with a downsized version. These are great, fished off the bottom. Or you just go straight classic, the heavy thumping tail and the slow trailing action of a Huddleston. This one is the weedless variation, but you can get the top hook variation as well. These things are fantastic. Go check out Huddlestons. They usually have this big, thick tail off the back there. Great baits. Again, this is the time of year where you can luck into some really big fish. If you're patient enough, if you put that bait where it needs to be, so essentially like a right place, right time, right bait kind of situation, be patient with it, have fun with it. I like to treat the glide kind of like a jerk bait. So I'm using those single jointed, right? The glide baits specifically, especially in the bigger size. I'm fishing it similar to a jerk bait. So it's small reel pauses, or it's a small twitch pause, and I'm just waiting, giving it some time. So if you have more of the super slow sinking options or suspending style glides, you're gonna have a good time with those. So your slow sinking glides are a great option this time of year. Just again, put it around cover, twitch it and pause it, just chill, just relax, just let it happen, let that fish strike, man. It is a lot of fun, especially when it finally pays off. So I definitely recommend, if you don't catch on these things or you don't have any, maybe consider getting into it, giving it a shot in these colder water temps. So again, I promised 5, maybe 6, the little bonus add-on here, baits that you can be throwing this time of year. So these last 2 rigs usually get a bad rap from fishermen everywhere, unless they know. Like if you know, it's this kind of bait, right? And that is the drop shot and the Ned rig. Now I know some people are like, oh, that's boring, that's slow fishing. Well, I mean, water temps are cold. Sometimes you gotta slow down in order to get more fish. That's the deal. Now the fun thing about drop shot and Ned rigging in the winter is that you get to do fun little variations with them. This is the time of year that I'm focused on scent a lot, so I'm throwing your Berkley Max Scent specifically that Berkeley Max Scent flatworm. Like this is a go-to, just pick any color you want, really. Like the scent makes a big difference, and you're getting that, you know, roughly 3 to 4 inch profile. So you get a slightly bigger profile on the drop shot, you're gonna get bites. Hands down, this thing produces no matter what. I've had some amazing days, even in the dead of winter on this setup for the drop shot. I'm also generally throwing on a heavier drop shot weight, and that's because I'm letting it sit just off the bottom where those fish are pinned down. They're like sitting right on the bottom. They're very lethargic, like I've mentioned a bunch in this video. So I'm typically fishing this around isolated vegetation. So you're looking for what's left of the dying foliage in your lakes and ponds. Like go find that, cast out your drop shot, let it sit right there and just wait, and you're gonna get bit. This is a great option this time of year. So just bomb that out there. Do a very small tag end for your weight on the drop shot right now. So it's 3 to 6 inches. That way that bait is just hovering right off the bottom. And you can also go with some floatier plastics as well. So I do also like to throw my mule fishing minnows this time of year, the full size version, the 3-incher, and I'm throwing that in whatever color is appropriate for the water clarity that you're dealing with. Drop shot, killer option, great thing to go with this time of year. The Ned rig is what I want you guys to change up. You're gonna do something a little different with this. This is the time of year for finesse jigs. So I love throwing those spider skirt Neds. Couple different brands make these. One of our buddies makes this one right here. So this is from Nathan Reynolds over at Pig Jigs. They just got their website set up. This is actually the AAA color. This is the aggressively average angler staple color. Green pumpkin and blue with some chartreuse highlights in there. These are also hand tied and made with an EWG hook on it. So you can rig these completely weedless, and they're awesome. Highly recommended. Go check them out. He goes by PigJigs247 on Instagram, or you can check out their website, which we'll link in our description below. And he makes all sorts of crazy colors. Here's this awesome version of green pumpkin, some gold, some red in there. Look at the pink with some flash on it, and some purple. And then we got the all copperhead, copper and green in there, even using some different materials, not just your basic skirt material. So that's awesome. Then you got other brands out there making these as well. Here's one from Battle Baits. This one's pretty fantastic, bluegill color. And check this out. Very interesting hook. You even got a weed guard on there. It's a pretty heavy duty weed guard for a Ned, and your bait keeper as well. Very well made, awesome color options. These are great too. Or you can go check out a brand like Beast Coast. Now, Paul has all these on his hands right now. I need to get some myself. But go check out the options from Beast Coast where you have like the football jigs. Those are great. I know 6th Sense also has a football jig, Ned. So look for some of those out there. Football jig is nice because it's something where I can set it on the bottom and actually kind of like drag it versus doing a lot of the aggressive hops. Because that's the thing with these, this time of year, you're doing a lot of dead sticking and you're dragging these things. You're not doing much else. You might let it sit and you're like counting in your head 5 to 10 seconds, and then you might give it one little hop and let it sit, and you're letting whatever little 3-inch plastic you got going off the back of it do its job. In my case, I'm still fishing a lot of the Z-Man stuff so that it's nice and floaty, giving you that vertical position. Or maybe you want to go with something that's got a rattle in it. Z-Man has the option where you can put rattles into their thing right now with that crazy stabby thing. Or maybe you get like the Guggen rattling net or whatever your preference is. And the other option is you're just kind of like scooting it. You're just dragging it and letting it sit. Just let it chill. Let the fish come to it. This is, the name of the game is patience, right? So try to have as much patience as you can. Hopefully that's enough options for you guys. As you can see, there's still a lot out there. I also mentioned go with a weightless fluke, right? Just let that thing fall forever. That's your soft jerkbait versus your hard body jerkbait with your treble hooks. So there's technically 7 options in this video that you can go with, and there's plenty of other baits that obviously work as well. If I'm way down south, I'm throwing an Alabama rig. Okay, I might be throwing some different stuff like that. And in fact, I will be with Paul at a tournament that we're going to. So you guys will see some videos with that very soon as well. Hopefully this is helpful for you guys. I know you still want to catch fish like I do. I don't want to shut it down. I don't want to stop. I want to keep fishing as long as I possibly can until there's actually ice on the water. And then I want to go ice fishing. So, I mean, I want this to be an all year thing, right? I'm sure you guys do too. Hopefully these rigs will help you get on some fish. Thank you so much for watching. As I said before, if you like the content, you can show us some support by subscribing to the channel and smashing a like on this video. We really appreciate you guys, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.